So just next month, the iPhone 13 Pro Max will actually be 1 year old. That's pretty insane, but I want to make this video discussing why nothing has changed my mind and made me fully switch off of the iPhone 13 Pro Max. This phone has been the best phone probably I've ever used in terms of just this rectangular or slab style smartphone, a non-foldable basically have you. I want to begin with the very first reason, and that's going to be the design. This phone just feels so premium. You just can't really describe it besides that. It's luxurious. It's the top of the line, the best of the best. It's just always felt that way, and it continues to do so to this day. One of the main reasons is Apple has decided to incorporate a surgical grade stainless steel on all of the iPhone Pros. Combine that with these squared edges, which just feel amazing in terms of premium. You have yourself a phone that just feels like top of the line. Also, with this etched matte glass on the back, it just never gets really dirty, especially on the space gray. It doesn't really show fingerprints. You combine how they match the camera housing to the stainless steel edges, and over my time using it, every time I look at this, I'm still glad that I picked this phone up. It definitely feels like the most premium iPhone ever created on planet Earth. So really have enjoyed it, and it's something that I have to say, there's not a phone I've used all of the highest end flagships that have, I think, taken down the iPhone 13 Pro Max in just terms of that premium, ultra luxurious feel. Have they got close? Yes, they've gotten very close, but they just haven't done enough to beat this design. So this is fantastic. The next reason is the display. Now, of course, it still has a notch, but it did get a little bit thinner, but the overall quality of the display is OLED, so it's very, very punchy, very saturated. But talking about the reasons why this display has kept me here, it's going to be how iOS and the ProMotion work together, giving you the smoothest experience you're ever going to feel on a phone. There's not been a single phone I've used that can top the 13 Pro Max in terms of just a buttery feel. I mean, the 13 Pro, obviously, it's basically the same phone, is the same. But, there hasn't been a single Android phone. Most of them can have bouts or like little sections where it just looks like it's exactly the same. But the iPhone 13 Pro Max has been the smoothest I've ever used. In addition to that, I do prefer the wider aspect ratio, which I've talked about in my previous 13 Pro Max videos. But a lot of phones are still not giving you, a wider panel. The S22 Ultra did, so that's a really good thing. I love that phone as well. But the 13 Pro Max also has the 19:5:9 or the modern day version of a 16:9 panel, a wider screen. So when you are reading content, you are consuming videos, anything like that, there's a lot of space side to side. It kind of feels like a little mini tablet phone in your pocket. It feels a lot bigger to do everything you're trying to do on your phone, whether that is gaming, whether that is, using the Photos app, using video, reading news, watching YouTube. No matter what you're doing on here, it just fills the screen very nicely because it's nice and wide. So definitely a very great thing there. This wasn't the sharpest panel I've seen. I've actually seen phones with sharper text than the iPhone 13 Pro Max in my time over the past year, but definitely this one was sharp enough at 458 pixels per inch. It wasn't enough to get me to switch to the other device just because of a little bit of pixels per inch. So overall, Apple has knocked the display out of the park. That adaptive refresh allows it to get really amazing battery life as well while still remaining incredibly smooth. The next thing is everything about iOS has been pretty darn solid. Always getting really fast updates on board here for the iPhone 13 Pro Max, and getting 16 is going to be amazing on this phone as well. But overall, I just got to say that when it comes to, software, the consistency is always there. So it's been good. iOS also has been very fun to use iOS 15 on here. I really enjoy the focus modes. I also have enjoyed, like the app library and stuff like that. Just overall, it's been a smooth, consistent, easy to use experience. However, I will say there's something that kept bugging me all year long, and that is that there's still no rotation. There's no split screen. I don't think it would mess up iOS to put this here. It irks me, especially on the Max. That should be a Max specific feature. There also was no always on display with this phone right here, but at the same time, like I say, software has been stellar, except for I constantly miss split screen or some way to multitask. Next up is the cameras. I have not found a phone this year that is more consistent with the camera than the 13 Pro Max. So definitely, I'm not going to show a ton of samples here in this video. You can go ahead and check out my, iPhone 13 Pro Max 9 months later video camera review I did a few days ago, or maybe a week or so ago. I showed all kinds of camera samples, but no matter what you're doing here, whether it's the wide angle, the regular angle, the macro mode, which has been amazing to use as well. I love that feature. Punching in on the zoom, I just cannot believe the level of versatility, the level of, professional like features you have on here. This phone is very capable, and basically it's an amazing creative tool, because no matter what you want to do on here, it can grow with you as you get better in your photography, videography. You have higher quality 4K, 24 and 60 modes. You do have the ability to tweak different aspect ratios. As you learn more about photography, this phone will grow with you. It's definitely at the top. Now, yes, it doesn't have the 10x optical. It doesn't have the longest reach like a lot of those other Android devices, but it does have an amazing cinematic mode, great slow motion video, and just video that's pretty much unmatched. Most Android phones cannot hold a candle to the iPhone when it comes to video performance. So again, if you want to see some samples, check out my 9 months later. I'll leave it linked down below. Definitely no other phone camera has done enough to sway me away, and it's mostly comes down to, again, the consistency. They do have great zooms and they blow you away with that, but not all the cameras match up like they do on the iPhone. So this one has been pretty much the best I've used. Now this next one might be the absolute biggest reason that you should even consider this phone, and that is the battery life. Now you probably think I'm lying or something when I show you 100% like I haven't used this, but actually I've just been following the tips I even recommended to you in a previous how to maintain your battery health, and this phone has a really big battery, so as long as you maintain it, it should last at 100 for a very long time. This phone right here has been exceptional in this area. Like, you can only say so many good things about it, because there's no other phone I've tried this year that are big, large phones like the Max with those size batteries. This is only a 4352. There's phones with 5,000, 5,500 that can't hold a candle to this phone. You can run all of your high-end stuff. You can run it at brightness, high brightness, and it's still gonna last the whole day. So this phone, incredible in the battery. You don't even have to turn off the ProMotion, which you can in settings, but no matter what you're doing, I was easily able to make it all day. As a matter of fact, this was the first iPhone where the wireless chargers, those battery packs, have become a thing of the past for me. I haven't been able to do that before, but I've been able to do it for this phone. So I hope Apple continues this trend on the Max series, because man, this has been so good. It's just really hard to use anything else that has a worse battery. Even if you don't like Apple, battery life is a huge deal, especially once you try this. You're not going to want to go to something with horrible battery life, believe me. This next one is one you probably didn't expect, but the 6 GB of RAM has been able to keep this phone just humming along like a boss. Like, it just never has any lag, no delays. I mean, it can just run through everything. As a matter of fact, this phone feels faster than I can compute in my own head. You sometimes think your brain is faster. This phone can keep up. So if whatever you're thinking of, no matter how fast you're going, as a matter of fact, this phone is so fast. It's so fast. It's overwhelmingly fast. So no matter what speed you want to go, the A15 has got you covered, but that 6 GB of RAM is going to hold it in the background. So the RAM, solid on here. And the next one is the Apple A15 Bionic chip. Now, we've done a ton of speed tests with this phone throughout the year, and it basically beat everything. Everything that came in its line of sight. They clocked it at higher speed than some of the older phones, and a ton of RAM for how efficient iOS is. If they go to 8 gigs, I'm gonna be mind blown. I'm not sure we're gonna see major updates on the A15, but the future is looking ridiculous for the next iPhones. They're gonna get so fast that Apple might not even have to upgrade the chips anymore. They're getting that ridiculous. Because of that, I just really haven't wanted to switch to something full time. I have seen about 5 app hangs in my entire experience with this, but they were kind of like the app's fault, not really Apple's fault, not the phone's fault. That's more on the developer. I think the A15 is so fast that even in 3 or 4 years, it's gonna still feel very current. The next one was audio. Now the first one is going to be faster chipset. So you can see we're on the A15 Bionic. We will be on the next edition. And it's not that other phones didn't get quite as loud. Some phones actually were even louder than this phone, but it was just crispier. It just had a deeper bass to it. Just,
the Bionic chip here.
It just sounds good.
Up in September, maybe.
at pretty much any level. So that is one of the strongest reasons why I stuck with this as well. I love the speakers on here, even though there's no headphone jack these days. Bluetooth was extremely fast and the speakers were great. So the audio experience was a thumbs up. Also, when you take videos, it does do pretty good audio as well through those mics. You don't really need an extra mic for every single video you're going to make. So that's another good thing. Some people even use the iPhone like this as an audio recorder. It's that good. So audio, thumbs up. It was at the top of the game once again. The next one is related to thermals, or the internal temperatures of this phone. Now, yes, when you are using it a lot, there's a little bit of warmth to it, but it never really got super hot. And a lot of phones I use, the backs warm up a lot. They get uncomfortable after heavy usage. This was one of the coolest phones to the touch I used all year. There's only one scenario that really bugged me with this phone, and this is kind of common amongst all the iPhones. If you have this out in the sun, or you have it out in hot temperatures outside and you start using it a lot on full brightness, it will dim the display automatically. It's super annoying. I have to restart the iPhone because you'll do this and it won't get any brighter. But in normal operating temperatures, you could take advantage of that 1000 nits on here and really crank this baby up. So definitely that annoyed me, but thermal management, the heat management overall was A1 on here, very good. And I think that comes down to the A15, the efficiency of iOS, because really it's not the most spec'd out phone you'll ever see, but for some reason, no matter what you're doing, it never gets uncomfortably hot. So really good. So at the end of the day, this iPhone 13 Pro Max, there was just nothing that could change my mind from it. It's just such a well-rounded phone. It feels like peak iPhone, except for that right there. Once we get rid of that notch and it goes all screen, I don't know where they're going to go from there besides going into maybe the foldable industry, you know, doing something different with the phone, because it's basically peak iPhone already, man. And if like I wasn't into tech and upgrading and like I love doing reviews, I'm going to cover the 14 series. This phone, man, it's not even going to feel old even when the new one comes out. It's going to last so long way down the line with 5G on board, with all these great specs on here. This is amazing device right here, and it's been the best and most well-rounded phone I've used all year. It feels like it doesn't really sacrifice in any area. It does every single thing well. So let me know your thoughts. You have an iPhone 13 Pro Max, 13 Pro. That one is also amazing. Let me know your thoughts down below. Do you disagree? Do you think there was a phone that beat this phone badly? Let me know in the comments as well. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.